Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dan. It's Saturday morning. I'm drinking my iced coffee, sans the ice, because it's like 10 degrees below zero, but hot coffee just isn't my favorite. Let's put it that way. This is really good stuff. Um, I think I even did a video on how to make it. Well, nonetheless. So it's Saturday morning, and I kind of got a bee in my bonnet because so I'm part of this platform called Thumbtack. I'm a Thumbtack Pro, which means that I get to look at people who are looking for a variety of services. Now, Thumbtack was created to provide mostly home services. You know, you need windows, you need someone to fix your gutters, you need someone to put a screw in your screen door, or to put up a mailbox, or whatever. So by the way, this winter in Minnesota, use Thumbtack to find a guy to put your mailbox back up if you live in the country and someone slid off the road or the snowplow has knocked it over. If you don't live in the country, or you do live in the country and you need a website, an e-commerce site, a change, a fix, whatever, don't use Thumbtack. Just call me. Anyhow, so being on Thumbtack, I see all these people and they're getting they're putting in requests. They're saying, I need someone to create a website for me. I need someone to create a e-commerce site. And a lot of people say, whatever the developer decides for the platform. And that's what this video is about. How do you select a platform? Sometimes, I notice that the platform solutions are not ideal. I had an opportunity to get a contract for a platform, and it came in and it was I can't remember the name. It started with a U, and it was a CMS platform. So CMS is a content management system, like WordPress, like Drupal, like Joomla. So a CMS platform, basically content management system, allows the average person to add content to their own site. So you kind of build the frame, and then the blogger or the whoever comes adds products or adds posts to the website without having to be a technical person. It's how it should be, right? So this new platform, I wasn't qualified to work on it. It was built in .NET. I don't do .NET. But I was wondering, why would someone go for this type of platform? And just to say, it's a paid platform. So what I think people think is, so WordPress, for instance, and Joomla and Drupal are all open source platforms. And I think people get in their heads, open source means no support. And that's really backwards. And so I'm going to lay out why that's true. I'm also going to lay out how to pick a platform. And maybe this goes well beyond website development or e-commerce. This could be a platform for really anything. And it maybe could even go as far as, what lawnmower to buy or what snowblower here in Minnesota to buy. So let's look at a few of these items. Number one, the first thing what you want to do is look for adoption rates. How many people have adopted this platform? So let's think of why that's important. We're going to start with the most obvious, and that is votes. When people implement a platform, they're voting for it. They're saying that I think this is the best solution for me under my circumstances, right? Now, those might not match your circumstances, but when you have a huge user base like WordPress does, about, I think, 67% or something of all websites on the internet are built on WordPress. So a lot of people have said this is a good solution. Now, again, they might not match your requirements, and you need to keep that in consideration. But, if you're talking, hundreds of millions of websites, pretty sure someone's got the same requirements as you or something similar, right? So think of adoption rates as a vote. Also, think of adoption rates as a force that pushes the development of the product. So if 10 people use a product, you've got this the force of 10 people trying to get the product to be better. But if you got 100 million people using the product, then you got 100 million people kind of pushing by their desire at least to make the product better. Next, adoption rates indicate the support component. So granted, you can't go to WordPress, well, you actually can, but you can't go to WordPress and say, WordPress, I want you to support, I have this, it's not working right. Can you help me fix it? Or I don't understand why it's not working right. Can you help me fix my stuff? You can't do that directly, but you do have this huge pool of users that can help you. And some of them are users like me who are actually WordPress experts, and we actually understand the technology, and we can support any problem, right? Because we actually understand the WordPress code, and we can create new solutions that don't even exist. So that's a big thing. And that kind of goes to the next piece, and I should have done this one before the previous one, but the next one is the development community is going to be huge. So that means that if you want new features or benefits, you just ask and you use your dollars to get them. Because remember, you're not paying for the platform up front, so now you have dollars to spend for custom solutions. And even if you don't want custom solutions, there's a huge base of pre-existing plugins, because guys like me create plugins for ourselves, and then we say, oh, we'll throw them out there on the in the free area, or we'll make it a freemium, basically meaning that I'll give it away free, but if you want these super features, you got to pay for it, and it's a way for us to generate revenues as developers. But that's a really great model, and when you got 100 million users, it's worth it, right? So then I have an incentive to create new products, and I can sell them online to a huge user base. So those are all under the adoption rates piece. The next thing you gotta think about, which are going to be tied to adoption rates, are things like flexibility. There are other platforms out there. If you think of eCommerce or websites, there are like Wix and I'm not sure. Shopify is kind of a hybrid. There's development pieces that you can do. There's another e-commerce one I can't think of it, that's all hosted, and you can have limited features, but it's hosted, and they grow pretty fast, like Wix does, because they make it so easy. But with ease of use, there's always a trade-off. With ease of use, they got to dial back the customization piece because they have to support it, right? So ease of use introduces often a reduced feature set. So, and then finally security. So and all these things point back to the adoption rate, because people are going to adopt things that are useful for them. But not all people, remember, because like I said at the beginning, adoption rates merely mean that people selected it, but they might select it for reasons different than use. For instance, a lot of people select Wix, but if you want flexibility, don't select Wix. Makes sense, right? And then finally is security. So with increased adoption rates, there's a downside. People now they have an incentive to hack that system. So with increased adoption rates there's this inverse relationship to hacking. So we don't want that, right? We don't want to be vulnerable. But not the nice thing, but kind of the nice thing. So now you've got this huge community that also has that concern, right? And so now there's this upward force to protect the group, right? Think of them like the tribe, because we're all relying on this platform to increase the security built into the platform. And the kind of negative thing about that is you get a lot of updates, right? So that's a lot of people's big complaint about WordPress. And WordPress is the community's working very hard to how do you make that a seamless process where updates kind of happen without a lot of user interaction, and it's not an easy problem to solve. People don't want to be put on version 5. It's like version 4.9 is awesome for them, but there might be a security reason. So, and that's all kind of, as you get to understand it, that's a really big issue. And they've got good solutions, but, they're not like, this isn't heaven, people. Things, there's trade-offs. I think that's it. I think those are the concerns that you want. So what's my recommendation? I'm going to give a really clear recommendation. If you want a website, unless you have some very peculiar needs, WordPress is a great solution for 99%, especially from the bottom. If you don't have a lot of resources, go with WordPress. If you've got a medium amount of things, go with WordPress. If you're filthy rich, go build your own platform from scratch. And you have time, right? And that's a piece too. Is WordPress allows you to get launched in an afternoon if you want. So those are my recommendations for web. That extends into e-commerce. If you want an e-commerce platform, go with WordPress's premier solution, which is WooCommerce. That WooCommerce, I think, is still the #1 e-commerce platform in the world. It's great. There are hundreds of plugins and developers like me that can develop anything, and I've developed some really cool things to work with WooCommerce, so I highly recommend it. And the nice thing too, let me just throw this out there. Say you get in a relationship with me to have me develop something or build your website. You can fire me at any time because there's hundreds of thousands of developers out there that you can go to, so you're not locked in. And I hate that. I've done it. It's like, oh, this platform is so constrained, and they don't do what they want, and they're hard to work with. Well, guess what? You don't want to switch. Switching costs are high, so you're always weighing out between switching and the switching cost and the value of switching. So, it's a horrible thing. And I've seen an organization I used to work for switch over to proprietary situation because it made it easy, right? But we could have built anything they wanted. It was just not a good business move as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to predict, without naming names, that company has serious financial problems out in the next year or whatever. So those are my recommendations. And if you're in a bad situation already, call me. I can move you over, and it's not going to, I can minimize those switching costs is what I'm saying. So that's something you should think about. So this is Dan. I hope that was helpful, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.